Hello everyone, here I am with a much requested and much awaited video for CMA Final Cost and Management Audit subject. So yes, this video will be an entire game changing for your preparation of subject cost and management audit. Now what are we going to cover in this particular video? Nothing but bullet MCQs. I need not separately tell you the importance of MCQs in the subject cost and management audit or in the entire CMA final because this MCQs alone has the weightage of 30 marks in the examination and these are not so easy. So 30 marks, to get the entire 30 marks, we have to rely on many sources and we have to completely get perfect with the MCQs. So here I am in front of you with the bullet MCQs, which are very much relevant for the upcoming June 2025 examination. You all already know me that this is CMA Parvati, your mentor for cost and management audit. Now the first major important question which many students ask for, ma'am, is this bullet MCQs PDF enough for the exam preparation? Yes, this is more than enough. Now, how am I this much confident in telling that this MCQ PDF is enough for the examination? Because this MCQs PDF covers ICMAI study material MCQs, each and every MCQ which is there in study material covered, ICMAI MCQ booklet, all the MCQs which are there in MCQ booklet, all that are covered. ICMAI has released a new workbook for the subject of cost and management audit, and in that also we have MCQs. Those MCQs are also covered in this PDF. Past question paper MCQs are covered. New syllabus mock question paper or mock test paper, in that MCQs, everything is covered. Now what left out? Nothing. What all you will rely upon in preparing MCQs? I have relied on the same sources and I have collected and combined all the MCQs so that it will reduce your time and at the same time it will help you immensely in your preparation of the subject cost and management audit. So this PDF is more than enough for your preparation. Now, where this PDF will be available? You can join the Telegram channel which is exclusively there for cost and management audit. The link of Telegram channel will be given in the description box below. So join the Telegram channel where you will be able to download this PDF very easily. Okay, so I hope I have given you the enough clarity about this bullet MCQs. So without any much delay, we'll get into the video and solve the MCQs one by one. Let's get started. So let's get started with our section A cost audit and unit 1 basics of cost audit. Starting with our first MCQ. Cost audit was first introduced in the year 1959, 1965, 1949 or 1975. The answer is option B, 1965. The second MCQ. Cost audit was first introduced for dash industry, cement, iron and steel, jute, sugar. The first cost audit was introduced for cement industry, option A. Third MCQ. Government of India has issued order with respect to introduction of mandatory cost audit of cost records maintained by the companies in the year. So in which year mandatory cost audit has been bought by Government of India? 2008, 2009, 2011, 2014. The mandatory cost audit provision has been bought in the year 2011. The report on the audit of cost records is submitted by the cost auditor to. Cost auditor has to prepare cost audit report and he has to submit it to whom? Managing Director, Finance Director, Audit Committee, Board of Directors. Who will appoint a cost auditor? Board of Directors. To whom he has to submit a report? To the Board of Directors only. Next, the cost auditor of the company who is in default in compliance with section 148 shall be punishable in the manner as provided in. If anyone are not complying section 148, either could be a cost auditor or company or officer, they will be punishable under section 147. So, section 139 of Companies Act 2013, subsection 1 to 3 of section 148, no. Section 143, no. Subsection 2 to subsection 5 of section 147 of Companies Act 2013. This you have to be very much clear about. If the cost auditor has committed any default, then he will be punishable under section 147 subsection 2 to 147 subsection 5. Next MCQ. The appointment of cost auditor is defined under which section? In section 148, subsection 3, it has been mentioned. 148 subsection 2, 148 subsection 3, 144 and 139. The answer, we know obviously 148 subsection 3. Next, the Institute of Cost Accountants of India was first set up in the year when it was first started in the year 1944, 59, 65 and 2012. 1944. And in 2012, it has been renamed into ICAI. The cost accounting system was initially developed based on recommendation of a Dash Commission. We have seen when we were discussing that cost accounting system was firstly brought under the recommendation of Vivian Bose Commission, Datta Commission and Daftari Sastry Committee. But firstly, who has given the recommendations for? First, it was taken off Vivian Bose Commission. Next, the company and every officer of a company who is in default in compliance with section 148 shall be punishable under subsection of dash section. So we have seen in section 148, if they are committing any default, if cost auditor has committed any default, he will be punishable under section 147(2) to 147 subsection 5. If the company and every officer have done any default, then they will be punishable under section 147 subsection 1. The Institute of Cost and Work Accountants of India was renamed as the Institute of Cost Accountants of India in the year 2012. So remember the years are very, very important. 1944, first it was established. 1959, it was changed into a statutory body. 1965, nothing is there. 2012, it was renamed into ICAI. Next, question number 11. Dash empowers the central government to specify audit of items of cost respect to certain companies. Section 148 has given certain powers to the central government to give audit to certain companies to maintain in their books of accounts all that stuff we have in section 148. So who have given the power to the central government to do all this? Section 148. Section 128, cost records and audit rules. Section 148, section 147. Section 147 is nothing but a penalty section. So answer is section 148. Next, cost audit represents the true and fair view of which product? Of any product. Cost audit represents true and fair view of what? Is it for cost of sale, cost of raw material consumption, cost of production, or none of this? Cost audit represents true and fair view of cost of production of any product. So the answer is cost of production. Next, cost records are maintained on which basis? Cost records are maintained on accrual basis. Cost audit conducted by chartered accountant. Can a cost audit be conducted by a chartered accountant? No. Only a cost accountant in practice can conduct a cost audit. Maybe, can be, cannot be, may not be. The answer is cannot be. Which of the following are the objectives for which cost audit is undertaken? To establish the accuracy of costing data? Yes. To ensure that cost accounting principles are governed by the management objective and these are strictly adhered to preparing cost accounts? Yes. To reduce the amount of detailed checking by the external auditor if effective internal control audit system is in operation. So all these are nothing but the objectives of cost audit. So the answer is all of the above. So I hope these MCQs of Unit 1 Basics of Cost Audit is clear. Sorry for my throat. I have a very bad sore throat. So excuse me for that. We'll move to the next unit, which is Unit 2, Companies, Cost Records and Audit Rules 2014. Okay, we'll start with our next unit, which is Companies, Cost Records and Audit Rules 2014. Now, first MCQ, the applicability of cost audit under Companies, Cost Records and Audit Rules 2014 for regulated industries having overall annual turnover during immediate preceding financial year. So I have asked about the applicability of cost audit for regulated industries and that too annual turnover, which means the answer is 50 crores or more. Now, option B. Second question. The company has to upload CRF4 electronically to the MCA under which rule of Companies, Cost Records and Audit Rules 2014? 5, 1, 6, 2, 4, 6 or 6 subsection 6. The answer is Rule 6 subsection 6. And the next, the form in which the cost records shall be maintained. CRA1, CRA2, CRA3 and 4. In Form CRA1, the maintenance of cost records will be done. Now 4. Which of the following type of electricity company is under the purview of regulated sectors? Engage in generation, transmission, distribution and supply, all of the above. The answer is all of the above. Which one of the below is not a regulated industry? Telecommunication, electricity, drugs and pharmaceuticals, automobile. Automobile is not a regulated industry. Any casual vacancy in the office of a cost auditor, whether due to resignation, death or removal, to be filled by the board of directors within 30 days of the day of occurrence. Answer is 30 days. Next, cost audit report is to be filled in form on MCA portal. Cost audit report will be prepared by the cost auditor and submitted to the company in form CRA 3, whereas it will be submitted in the MCA portal in form CRA 4. Answer is option D. Next, CRA1 pertains to cost accounting records. This we have already done. Next, in cost audit report, general information is reported in part A1. In part A1, general information will be written. And in which serial number of table B, which is non-regulated sectors, in which table B, which is non-regulated sectors, companies engaged in health services are given to us. It is specified under serial number 22. Every company shall file a notice of appointment of cost auditor within form. Appointment of cost auditor will be done by company to the central government as a notice will be filed in form CRA 2. Part C of annexure to the cost audit report in CRA 3 deals with Part C, annexure to the cost audit report. Cost audit report Part C deals with service sector. A company engaged in construction business is covered under the company's cost records and audit rules 2014 but does not include subcontracting, build, operate, transfer, special economic zone, engineering, procurement and construction contract. It does not include special economic zone. Option number C. The manufacturing unit showed during the financial year 2016 and 17 what all are given. Net sales are given to be 1250 and export incentives are given. We have to add the export incentives 85. Other income will not be considered in value addition. Adjustment in finished stocks, they have given add 95. Materials, these are nothing but less cost of bought out inputs. How much material? Less 634. Salaries will not be considered. Overheads are given to be 101. And then tax also will not be considered. The answer is 695. Option B. Next, item appearing only in cost records. Profit on sale of asset, interest received, loss on sale of assets. All these are financial items also. Now, what is only there in the cost? Notional interest on capital. 16. As per Part D, Para 4 of Companies Cost Records and Audit Rules 2014, value addition and distribution of earnings are to be computed based on audited financial data, cost records data, unaudited financial data, both A and B. The answer is both A and B, audited financial data and cost records data. Next, 17. Before submission to the auditor for report, the form CRA 3 should be signed and one director of a company. Next question. ORS Limited is a multi-product company having annual turnover of 103 crores. Table A items are of 26 and table B are of 8 crores. Now, tell us about the cost audit applicability. Now, for cost audit, what do we have? We have regulated sectors and non-regulated sectors remit. For regulated sectors, overall turnover should be more than or equal to 50 crores. Individual turnover of products and services should be more than or equal to 25 crores. Now, here, whatever it is given, here 100 crores is given, which means overall turnover is more than or equal to 50 crores. And individual, it should be 26 and 8. What is 26 plus 8? It is 34. More than 25 crores, which means regulated sectors limit is satisfied. Now, for non-regulated sectors, 100 crores and 35 crores. Now, for overall annual turnover, 100 crores more than is there. It is 103 crores. But for individual, it should be 35 crores. But it is only 34 crores, which means both the conditions of non-regulated sectors are not satisfied. Only one is satisfied. Even if one is satisfied and the other is not satisfied, which means for table B products, the cost audit will not be done. I hope it is clear. So here, the cost audit is applicable only for table A products. Applicable for table A products only. I hope it is clear. Next, the abridged cost statements need not to be separate for each project with separate CTA. Each product with separate industry specific expenses, each product having different unit of measure, self or captive consumption of each project. We need not prepare abridged cost statement for self or captive consumption of each product. Next, profit reconciliation of a company as a whole is dealt in which part? Part D, para 2 of the annexure to the cost audit report. Part C, para 1, no. Form of cost audit report. Part A, para 1, no. It is specified under Part D, para 2. Next, Table A, regulated sectors for the purpose of maintenance of cost records under CCRA rules include, Table A regulated sectors include what? Telecommunication, electricity, petroleum products, drugs and pharma. Arms and ammunitions, no. Fertilizers and sugar and industrial alcohol, yes, these are regulated sector products. Aeronautical services and port services, no. Fertilizers and railway. Railway is not there in regulated sectors. So the answer is option B. Next, every company under the company's cost records and audit 2014 shall maintain cost records of its products and activities as to facilitate calculation for what purpose of calculation we are maintaining cost records for to know the measurement of unit of cost of production, cost of operation, cost of sales and the margin. Either A, B, C is the answer. As per Rule 4.3 of Companies Cost Records and Audit Rules 2014, the requirement for cost audit shall not apply to the company whose revenue from exports in the foreign exchange exceeds. This is an exemption for Rule 4, which talks about the applicability of cost audit. So, in an exemption, there is this part. So, if the total revenue is more than 75% foreign exchange revenue, then it is not required to be done cost audit. So, this is covered in Rule 3, more than 75%. Disclosure of transaction with related parties under para 5 of annexure to the cost audit report to be made for. If there are related party transactions, then disclosure should be made for each related party for the year as a whole and each product or service for the year as a whole. Combination of A and B. Combination of A and B transaction wise. The answer is combination of A and B above. Sugar and industrial alcohol belongs to which sector? It belongs to regulated sector. Next, defense, space and atomic energy is of which sector? It is of non-regulated sector. Next, CCRA rules have become applicable from which date? 1/1 of 2014. These are all basics which we have learned starting of Companies Cost Records and Audit Rules 2014. Then, the central government released CCRA rules in pursuant to the powers vested with in under which section of Companies Act 2013. We have read in our syllabus that Companies Cost Records and Audit Rules have been bought through section 148 of Companies Act 2013. But here you have to remember it is of both section 469 as well as 148 of Companies Act 2013. Both sections gave powers to the central government. The CCRA rules supersede cost accounting record rules, cost audit rules, telecommunication industry rules. All it has superseded. The answer is all of the above. Next, the CCRA rules 2014 is not applicable for MSME, export-oriented units, private limited companies and units operating from SEZ. You might think that it is SEZ units, but no. SEZ is given as an exemption for cost audit, not for cost records. For cost records, we have only two exemptions. If cost records are only not being maintained, then CCRA rules will not be applicable. So, in that we have MSME and foreign company which is having only a license office in India. These are the two exemptions for cost records maintenance. So, if cost records is not being maintained, no need of CCRA rules compliance. Which one of the below is not a regulated industry? Fertilizers, aluminium, sugar, petroleum. Fertilizers, sugar and petroleum are regulated sector industries. Aluminium is not. For regulated sector, cost audit requirement has to be made subject to turnover based on threshold. They have given about the regulated sectors. For regulated sectors, what is the threshold limit? 50 crores. Next, details of material consumed in 2A for manufacturing sector to be reported in which part of CRA 3? In CRA 3, manufacturing sector is given in which part? In part B. Sorry. Next, identification of cost centers are to be reported in which? General information, general details of cost order, cost accounting, policy, value addition and distribution of earnings. This is about cost centers. Cost centers have to be reported in cost accounting policy, option C. Value addition and distribution of earnings are to be reported as per production records, utility records, human resource records, financial records. The answer is financial records. Related party transactions are to be reported for cost center, product, plant and a company. For entire company, related party transactions are to be reported for. And then SRN number of CRA2 is to be reported in general information, general details of cost auditor, cost accounting policy, reconciliation of indirect taxes. This is about SRN number of CRA2, which means general details of cost auditor. Transfer price and normal price. These are related to whom? Related party transactions. This you have already covered in your DT also, as well as in companies CRA rules also we have covered it. Profit reconciliation is to be reported for cost center, product, plant, company. It should be reported for entire company. Option D. Corporate identity number of a company is to be reported under general information of a company. Then difference in valuation of stock between financial and cost accounts. This is what we do in the profit reconciliation. Answer is B, profit reconciliation. PAN of cost auditor. Cost auditor's firm is to be reported and PAN number should be given under general details of cost auditor. So this is what entirely we have covered in companies CRA rules 2014. Now we'll start with Unit 3 Cost Auditor MCQs. First, which one of the following is not a professional misconduct in relation to cost accountant in a practice as per second schedule? So in second schedule, as per cost accountant in practice, which of this is not a professional misconduct? He or she fails to invite attention to any material departure from generally accepted procedures of costing and pricing applicable to the circumstances. Yes, it is a professional misconduct according to second schedule. He or she fails to report a material misstatement known to him or her to appear in cost or pricing statement. He or she does not exercise due diligence or is grossly negligent. All these three are professional misconduct according to second schedule. In the opinion of counsel, he or she brings the disrepute to the profession or institute as the result of his or her action. This is not as per second schedule but as per first schedule part number 4. So this is option number D. Next, which of the following is not a professional misconduct as per first schedule? Pays or allows or agrees to pay or allow directly or indirectly any share, commission or brokerage. This is there in first schedule. Enter into partnership in or outside India with any person other than cost accountant in practice. There in first schedule. Advertises his or her professional attainments or services or uses any designation or expression degree before his name. It is also professional misconduct according to first schedule. Expresses his or her opinion on cost or pricing statement of any business. This is there in second schedule, not in the first schedule. So option D. Next, a member of ICAI shall be deemed to be guilty of other misconduct if he or she is held guilty by any civil or criminal court of an offence which is punishable with an imprisonment of 3 years, 3 months, 6 months, 2 years. If it is exceeding 6 months, then he will be guilty of misconduct. BORS and Company, a firm of cost accountants, was appointed as a cost auditor of Pantex Limited for auditing the cost records for financial year 2018 and 19. The auditor appointed as such shall continue in such capacity up to what is the duration of term of office? Until the expiry of 1 year, on expiry of 6 months from the closure of accounts, date of submission, date of cost audit report, date of holding of annual general meeting of Pantex Limited. So he will stay in his office till he is submitting his cost audit report. Next, the authority for fixing remuneration of cost auditors as per section 148 of Companies Act 2013 lies with who will fix the remuneration? Board of Directors. Audit committee will only give the recommendations. They will not fix the remuneration. Board of Directors will fix the remuneration. Option D. Next, a cost accountant in practice, if solicits clients or professional work by circular, advertisement or personal communication, is deemed to be guilty of misconduct under which schedule? It is specified under part 1 of first schedule. Cost auditor to report fraud. Reporting of fraud is given under which section? 143 subsection 12. Option D. When the cost auditor has to be appointed for financial year 22-23. When cost auditor should be appointed? Within 180 days from the commencement of financial year. The appointment of cost auditor is defined under which section of Companies Act 2013? 148 subsection 3. Casual vacancy of cost auditor to be filled within 30 days of occurrence of that casual vacancy. Option A. As per section 141 subsection 3, read with rule 10 of Companies Audit and Auditors Rules, a person who has been convicted by a court of an offence involving fraud and a period of dash years has not been elapsed will be disqualified to be appointed. How many years? 10 years. A cost accountant who fails to comply with the provisions of section 143 subsection 12, reporting of fraud. If he is not complying with the reporting of fraud provisions, then the penalty will be more than 25 lakh rupees. So the answer is option B. Cost audit report is to be filed on MCA portal within 180 days from the end of financial year. Where is 180? B. Option B. Next, section dash provides that an officer or employee of a company shall not be eligible for appointment as a cost auditor of a company. Appointment, qualification, disqualifications all are given under section 148 as well as section 141. Option D. Section dash of Companies Act 2013 states that the cost auditor shall have same powers as applicable to the other auditors of a company. This has been specified under 148 subsection 5. Here subsection is not given, so you can write 148 section. Which audit covers efficiency, performance, proprietary, financial, internal, secretary, cost audit? Obviously, cost audit covers all this. Notification of companies' cost records and audit rules 2014 has resulted in superseding companies' cost accounting records 2009, companies' cost accounting records 2010, 2011 or 2012. The answer is option number C. 2011 it is superseded. Next. Section 148 of Companies Act 2013 deals with the provisions relating to cost audit. Dash is absolutely necessary for efficient resource utilization, financial, internal, tax audit, cost audit. We need cost audit. Next, a person shall not be eligible to be appointed as a cost auditor if he is convicted of an offence. This is a repeated MCQs. So, he is disqualified if he is convicted for a period of more than 10 years. Sorry, he is convicted and 10 years period is not elapsed. Cost auditor is to be appointed within 180 days from the start of financial year. The answer is 180 days. Next, relatives of any partner of a firm holding any security or interest in the company of face value exceeding 1 lakh rupees cannot be appointed as a cost auditor of a company. So, the answer is 1 lakh rupees. Cost audit is to be conducted by cost auditor who is or an Indian resident, qualified CA, qualified CS, qualified CMA. Who can do cost audit? Only a qualified CMA can do a cost audit. Option D. A cost auditor is dash for forming and expressing an opinion of cost statement. Responsible, reasonable, irresponsible, assessing. He is responsible. Next, which of the following persons shall not be appointed as a cost auditor of a company? A person who has been appointed as an auditor of a company for respective period. A person who is or at any time during the preceding 3 years was a director, officer or in the employment. Director, officer, employee disqualified. If he is another auditor, other auditor of a company cannot be appointed as a cost auditor of that particular company. Disqualifications both A and B. Which of the following persons shall not be appointed as an auditor of a company? A person who has been appointed as an auditor, spouse, body corporate. Answer is all of the above. Which of the following particulars relating to wages and salaries be included in cost auditor's report to the directors? Total wages, total man days, direct labor available and actual work, a brief explanation of variances in item. Answer is all of the above. So yes, we have completed with Unit 3 cost auditor also. So now we are going to start with the MCQs of the overview of cost accounting standards and GESA. Starting with first MCQ, CS 17 deals with royalty and technical know-how fee, material cost, R&D, interest and financing charges. The answer is option D, interest and financing charges. Next, CS 21 deals with cost of service, cost center, quality control, capacity determination, cost classification. The answer is option B, quality control. Third, the foreign exchange component of imported material is converted at the rate on date of transaction. We have a practical question on this also. Which of the following is not forming part of cost of transportation? Cost of transport, transit insurance, demurrage. Demurrage and detention charges will not form part of cost of transportation. Option C. Next, ideal capacity is the difference between installed capacity and actual capacity utilization. Option A. Next, sixth, remuneration of non-executive director. When we are calculating employee cost will include all the salaries which are paid to the executive directors and key managerial person. But the remuneration which is paid to non-executive directors is treated as administrative overheads. Option B. The answer is option B. Now, seventh one. Which of the following is not forming part of employee cost? Leave with pay, medical benefits, cost of employee stock option. All these three are part of employee cost. But compensation for layoff period is not forming part of employee cost. Option C is not the answer. Now, total cost accounting standards issued by Cost Accounting Standard Board. We already know we have 24 cost accounting standards. Total guidance notes for by Cost Accounting Standard Board of CMA Institute. Till now, how many guidance notes are there? 13 guidance notes. After that, which cost accounting standard deals with material cost? CA6 deals with material cost. Till today, guidance note of which cost accounting standard is not issued by Cost Accounting Standard Board of CMA Institute. Till now, CA17 guidance note is not given to us. Next, details of raw material procurement is given to us. Purchase price 100, transport 10, demurrage 10. As per CA6, demurrage charges will not be included. So 100 plus 10, the answer is 110, option B. Next, details of employee cost is given. Gross employee cost 100 and TDS 30 is given. As per CA7, what will be the cost? The answer is 100. Only 100 is the employee cost. Next, CAS dash permits to the cost of utilities. CAS 8 deals with cost of utilities. CAS 10 deals with what? Direct expenditure. Option D. Now, 16. Find the direct expenses as per CAS 10. Finance charges. Finance charges will not be included. Special design 20, software development charges 15, here 35, traveling abroad for training which is 7 lakhs, 35 plus 7 is 42 lakhs. The answer is option D. Now next, penalty paid to PF authorities is a dash in employee cost. Penalties are excluded from the cost. Next, CAS 18 stands for R&D, research and development cost. As per CAS 23, the activity of overburden removal that benefits the identified component of ore when doing mineral digging and something like that, then in that particular case, overburden removal is calculated through stripping activity. It is called as a stripping activity. CAS 9 deals with packing material cost. CAS 20 deals with royalty and technical know-how fee. As per CAS 2, actual capacity utilization shall be presented always as the percentage of installed capacity. CAS 5 deals with equalized cost of transportation. All these are nothing but CAS headings. Next, under the generally accepted cost accounting principles, the cost of cane supplied from own farm to sugar mill is treated as direct material cost, indirect material cost, production overheads and administrative overheads. It is treated as direct material cost. Next, variances due to abnormal reasons will not form part of the cost as per GASAP. Option A. So these are the MCQs for overview of cost accounting standards and GASAP. So now we are going to start with Unit 5 Cost Auditing and Assurance Standards MCQs. So first, dash cost auditing standard deals with planning and audit of cost statement. Which standards deals with planning? CAS 101. Next, total dash standards have been issued by Cost Auditing Standard Board. How many standards we have? We have 4 standards. Objective of Cost Auditing Standard dash is to guide members in planning for audit of cost statements. CAS 101 talks about the planning. Next, fourth, Cost Auditing Standard requires cost auditor to prepare audit documentation on timely basis. Which standard talks about audit documentation? 102 talks about audit documentation. Which cost auditing standard requires cost auditor to develop an audit plan, audit strategy, to do the audit, everything is 101. Then, which cost auditing standard requires cost auditor to evaluate and assess IT, environmental and control, nothing but knowing about the business, standard 104. Then, seventh one, who has issued cost auditing standards? Nothing but Cost Auditing and Assurance Standard Board. Which section of Companies Act 2013 provides that cost auditors should comply with cost auditing standards? Section 148. Then, who is approving authority of cost auditing standard? Ministry of Finance, Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Which cost auditing standard requires cost auditor for framing and expressing an opinion just a moment. Framing and expressing an opinion on the cost statement, which is talking about framing and expressing an opinion thereon. 103. On which date cost auditing standard 101 to 104 are approved by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs on 10th of September 2015. How many members are there in CAS board? 11 members are there in CAS board. Cost auditing standard deals with efficiency, effectiveness, qualification, responsibility of a cost auditor. It deals with responsibility of a cost auditor. Yes, responsibility of a cost auditor. Next, cost auditing standard preface to the standards on auditing, quality control, review and related services rendered by the cost accountant has been issued by who has issued it? Cost Auditing and Assurance Standard Board. As per Cost Auditing Standard 101, the risk of material misstatement has two components. What are those? Inherent risk and controlled risk. The objective of CAS 101 is to guide members. This is already a question we have seen here. Third question. Now, what is it? Guide the members to make planning. CAS 300 deals with audit planning. Audit planning, which is 101, and SA 300 is same. And audit documentation 102 and SA 230 is same. Audit documentation. SA 230, standards on auditing 230 is about audit documentation. Now, next, overall objectives of independent cost auditor and conduct of an audit in accordance with CAS is dealt in standard 103. And CAS dash ensures the achievement of audit objectives with available resources and securing coordination with the auditee on auditor to do audit plan, strategy, everything is a CAS 101. The procedure followed by the cost auditor to reduce audit risk to the acceptable level with no detect on misstatements. It is talking about detection, so it is detection risk. CAS 104 enables the cost auditor to have knowledge of clients and business. CAS 104 talks about that, having a knowledge about business. Requirement of CAS 104 is to have adequate level of understanding and knowledge of business. So these are the MCQs of Unit 5 Cost Auditing and Assurance. Now we are going to start with Unit 6, 7 and 8. I have combined all those things and brought the MCQs. With the first MCQ, if the auditor is satisfied for all the points, he will submit unqualified report, qualified report, interim report, final report. If he is satisfied, then he will give an unqualified report. Second, XBRL is a language based on XBL, XRL, XML, XCL family of languages. So we have heard of XML family of languages. So yes, that's the right answer. Next, C. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language, all of the above. The answer is all of the above. Next, which of the following is not an audit opinion? Qualified opinion, adverse opinion, disclaimer opinion, reserved opinion. There isn't any called as a reserved opinion. Then, during the planning stage of final audit, the auditor believes that the probability of giving an inappropriate audit plan is too high. How should the auditor amend the audit plan to resolve this? So what can be done to resolve this? The detection risk, whatever it is there, he has to reduce the detection risk. So decrease the detection risk. Next, arrange the following stages of audit. Stages of audit. We have three stages. Planning, performing, reporting. Planning, performing, reporting. B, A and C. Next, verification of assets involves a critical examination of ownership, existence, both A and B. So answer is both A and B. Then, demerits of audit program is rigidity, ignoring new areas, mechanized work, all of the above. The answer is all of the above. So, here comes, we have completed the entire unit 1 or section A, cost audit, all units. Now, we are going to start with the next section B, management audit, unit 1, basics of management audit. First MCQ, management auditor should have a thorough knowledge of financial accounting, production techniques, costing systems, all of the above. The answer is all of the above. He needs to have all the knowledge. Next, second, a management auditor can recommend the most suitable system of flow of information internally, externally, internally and externally, and none of the above. So, answer is management auditor can recommend for internal as well as external factors. The answer is both internally and externally. Next, management auditor should be well versed with management by exception, management by objectives, principles of delegation of authority and all of the above. So, he needs to have all the knowledge. So, the answer is all of the above. Then fourth, which of the following statements are true about the management audit? The management audit is made compulsory and statutory. No, it is not compulsory. The The management audit is a program of 1 year. No, it is a continuous process. Management audit cannot be conducted by an independent person. No, it should be conducted by an independent person. No time limit can be fixed for submission of report under the management audit. So yes, this is the right. There is no time limit of submission of report. Next, cost audit is a verification of cost records to estimate the dash efficiency of a business, internal efficiency of a business. So answer is option D. Next, the management auditor's work begins after the work of statutory auditor ends, before the work of statutory auditor begins, varies from firm to firm, none of the above. The answer is after the work of statutory auditor ends, the work of management auditor begins. Seventh, management audit is useful for suggestion for targets, assistance to management, good staff relationships, all of the above. The answer is all of the above. The main emphasis of management audit is problem solving, problem identification, problem definition, and problem avoidance. We are doing management audit to find out what is the problem. So it is problem identification. So these are the MCQs for Unit 1 Basics of Management. Now we are going to start with Unit 2 of Section B, Management Reporting Issues and Analysis. With first MCQ, which of the following is a kind of information report? Trend report, analytical report, activity report. All of them are information report. The answer is all of the above. Second, management reporting can be performed as internal and as well as external reporting. The answer is both A and B. The backbone of organization. Everyone will write it as management and employees, but the answer is information. The backbone of organization is information. Next, which of these is usually written in a form of memorandum, which means informal report. Informal reports will be written as a memorandum. Which of the following is a type of matter that may be covered in a special report? Feasibility study for a project, cost reduction schemes information, data on make or buy, all of the above. Everything will be there in a special report. The fifth one is option D. Dash are presented after making an investigation of a problem which requires to be investigated. Special report will be given. Dash is very important of presenting information to the management in a pictorial format, which is nothing but a graphical presentation. Dash are presented in a form of comparative statements, which means differences statements. It will be in a tabular report. Next, which of the following general principle is required to be followed while reporting? Report should have proper title. Yes. Report should be in good form and should be subheadings and paragraphs. Yes. Format of report can be changed frequently. No, there should be a fixed format. Report should be factual. Yes, it should have a facts. Reports need not save the time of management. No, it should save the time of management. So the options are 1, 2 and 4. 1, 3, 1, 2 and 4. Option D. Next, collecting comments and suggestions from users to discover ways to continuously improve is called as implementation. Exception, feedback. It is called as feedback. You're taking opinions from different people. It is called as feedback. Which of these reports provides information without any evaluation? Informational, interpretative, routine progress. It is called as interpretative report. Sorry, which of these reports provides information without any evaluation? Information is provided by informational report. Next, dash report provides a rationed findings, nothing but interpretative report. Interpretative report will give you a rational analysis of everything. So the 12th one answer is option number B. Next, which of these is not mentioned in a progress report? Name of the project, right choice of instruments, nature of work, amount of work left. Regarding work, the details will be given, but right choice of instruments used will not be given in the progress report. Which of these is not a parameter of a formal report? Presentation, complaint, information request. Complaint is not a part of formal report. Which of these reports is written before starting a project? When before starting a project, a report is prepared, it is called as a feasibility report. Next, which of these must never be on the basis for a technical report? Facts, test, personal prejudice. Never personal prejudice. Personal grudges should not be there in a technical report. Next, reports present conclusions based on intuition, belief, impression, investigation. Based on investigation only, the report will be prepared by the management. Which of these is not a parameter of a report? Ability to acquire additional information, quality of additional information acquired, ability to arrive at a subjective evaluation. You should not be subjective. You should go in detail, investigate about everything. Ability to provide worthwhile recommendations. Recommendations should be given, additional information should be acquired, and the information should be qualitative information. All these are parameters of a report. Which is not a parameter? Ability to arrive at a subjective evaluation. The chronological development of information in the body of report is done according to the logical sequence of events, order in which events occurred, choice of the writer, and collection of data. It is done based on the order in which events occurred. Which of these must be avoided in a technical report? Facts, logical conclusion, objective evaluation, and a subjective evaluation. They should avoid a subjective evaluation. I hope it is clear. Now, coming to the case study questions which has been tested. Case study 1. MCQ on productivity. Company A manufactures product X which 4 lakh MT are produced employing 400 employees. This translates into 4 lakh divided by 400 which means 1000 MT per employee. Now company wants to improve its 2100 MT per employee through training. So this relates to which? Raw material productivity, packing material productivity, natural gas productivity, or employee productivity. They are increasing employee. So it is called as employee productivity. Simple. Next, case study 2. MCQ on productivity. Company A manufactures product X using main raw material Y having input-output ratio of 1:1. Through its R&D activities, company wants to improve this input-output ratio to 0.75:1. So, this refers to what? Raw material productivity, packing material, natural gas, employee. Here they are talking about raw materials productivity. So, it is called as a raw material productivity analysis. Now, MCQ on productivity. Case study 3. Company G manufactures product CS which gives rise to process waste PW. 1 MT of product CS gives rise to 50 MT of process waste. So here we are talking about waste. This represents of what? This refers to what? Labor, capital, sales, environmental. Waste comes to environmental. So it is called as environmental productivity. I hope it is clear. Now come to this case study. What all they have given us? Sale, raw material, utilities, packing material, employee cost, consumable stores, repairs and expenses, depreciation, insurance, overheads. All these are given. Now, what is the first question? What is the variable cost? In this, what are variable costs? Raw materials, utilities, and packing material. These three are variable costs. 50,000 plus 15,000 plus 5,000. The answer is 70,000. Now, next, what is the fixed cost? Other than variable cost, what all are there are the fixed costs? 5 plus 4, 9 plus 3 plus 5 plus 1 and plus 2. It will come around to 20,000 per unit of finished product. So do the calculation, it will be around 20,000. Now what is the contribution of the product? Sales minus variable cost is nothing but the contribution. Sale is 1 lakh and the variable cost is 70,000 which means the profit, the contribution is around 30,000 per unit of finished product. Next, what is the profitability of a product? Sales minus cost. Here cost is variable and fixed cost. 70 plus 20 is 90,000. Sale is 1 lakh. So the profit is around 10,000. Next, what is raw material cost as a percentage of total cost? Now what is raw material cost? It is 50,000. 50,000 divided by what is total cost? Total cost is 90,000 which is fixed and variable. 70,000 plus 20,000 is 90,000. Now what is raw material? 50,000 divided by 90,000 into 100. You will get the answer to be 55.56. 55.56. So these are the answers. I hope it is clear. Now here, case study 2. Raw material, utilities, packing material, employee cost, consumable stores, repair expenses, depreciation, insurance, overheads, all are given. Now, which cost component is variable in nature? Raw material, employee, consumable stores, overheads. What is variable? Raw material is variable in nature. Which cost component is related to aging of plant and machinery, consumable stores? Next, concept of OEM, original equipment manufacture, is related to which cost component? It is also related to consumable stores only. Source of which cost component is fixed asset register? Depreciation. Depreciation is fixed asset register. Next, which cost element involves expenses which are of a discretionary in nature, which is indirect, which are nothing but the overheads are discretionary in nature. So these are the MCQs as well as case studies from management reporting issues and analysis. when you're going for this, also go for the practical problems, because from this unit only practicals will be tested as last 5 MCQs. So do that. So yes, now we are going to start with Unit 3, Management Audit and Different Functions. First MCQ. As per Leslie R. Howard, a management audit is an investigation of business from dash in order to ascertain whether the sound management prevails throughout. How management audit will be done? From the management, the evaluation will be done highest level downwards, lowest level upwards, either A or B. It will be done highest level downwards. Important points in corporate planning is time and work study, imposing control system, forecasting and goal setting, and SWOT analysis. It is nothing but SWOT analysis. Strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat analysis will be done in corporate planning. Next, assurance engagement involve only individual parties, 3 separate parties, contractor and contractee. In assurance engagement, there will be 3 separate parties. Next, the consumer service audit. In consumer service audit, what we are evaluating, how betterly the objectives of organization are being met to satisfy the customers, how organization is providing the services to the consumers. That is what we are going to do the assessment for. Outstanding payments of consumers, no. Price consumers are ready to pay for particular product or service, no. And apprise management of business enterprise of responsibility towards customers. So how business is having responsibility towards its customers, that is what we are going to assess in consumer service audit. Consumer service audit is a part of what? Business activity audit, social audit, service audit, none of the above. The answer is social audit. Next, there are no fixed items of evidence to be checked by the management auditor. Yes, it is true statement, because management auditor will do based on his own experience and acumen, not based on any record which is given by the management. So this statement is true. Management audit report will be submitted to whom? Cost audit branch, audit committee, central government, management of concern. It will be given to management of concern. Next, there is no fixed item of evidence to be checked by the management auditor. Yes, it is true. A management auditor has to rely more on what? His own experience and acumen. Just now I have told you. Now, which of the following contains a framework for CSR? Section 135, section Schedule 7 and company CRA policy rules. The answer is all of the above. Next, to which category of company provisions of CSR is applicable? Listed, unlisted, private, every company. The answer is every company. If they are coming under turnover limits, net worth and profit limits, then they have to comply with it. Next, as per section 135 of Companies Act 2013, provisions of CSR is applicable to every company having a net worth of 500 crores or more. Now, here the options are given wrong. I'll correct it and give it to you. Here the question should be net profit. So net profit is how much? Net profit is 5 crores or more. Net worth is 500 crores or more, and the turnover should be 1000 crores or more. That is as the next question. Next, within how many days from the end of financial year, company has to transfer any unspent CSR amount to a special amount? Within 30 days, they have to transfer it. I hope it is clear. Now, case study 1, MCQs on CSR is given in our new workbook. Net worth is given, turnover is given, net profit is given. Net profit should be more than 5 crores. Turnover should be more than 1000 crores, or net worth should be more than 500 crores. CSR is applicable due to its meetings. Net worth criteria, turnover criteria, net profit criteria, all of the above. It is based on the net profit criteria, because net profit is more than 5 crores. I hope it is clear. Next, these limits they have given. Okay. Next, MCQ on CSR. Company A has first time satisfied the condition of applicability of CSR in financial year 2023 and 24 by virtue of satisfying the condition of net profit of 5 crores or more, 7 crores. So from financial year 24-25, company A needs to spend on CSR activities. Yes, CSR amount, how much they have to spend? 2% of net profits of financial year 23-24, 2% of average net profits of financial year 23-24 and 22-23, 2% of average net profits of preceding 3 years, 21-22, 22-23, 23-24. So it is 2% of average net profits of preceding 3 years. So the answer is option C. Third one. Now next is energy audit. Company has prioritized energy saving measures into no investment, low investment, high investment. This pertains to what? Financial audit, internal audit, cost audit, energy audit. It is talk about energy, so it is energy audit. Simple. Case studies are very, very simple. If these case studies are asking in the examination, then you're so lucky. So, okay, we have completed Unit 3 Management Audit in different. Now, we are going to start with Unit 4 Evaluation of Corporate Image in Section B. What is the main factor to maintain corporate image? Industry goodwill, employee loyalty, shareholders trust, all of these. These are all nothing but our stakeholders on which our entire organization depend upon. So, the answer is all of these. Next is, which media relation norm enlists that actual and factual data should be reported? Accuracy, honesty, integrity depends upon the media. Now, what is told that factual data should be given? Nothing but accuracy. Next, who is starting point of bottom-up communication? Nothing but employees are there in the bottom-up communication. Answer is option A. Next, what is a business case for CSR? Better motivated staff, reduce operating cost, increased brand value and reputation. None of above, all of these. So, what is about the CSR? Better motivated staff, at the same time good reputation will also be there. The answer is all of the above. Next, what is a crucial function of PR? Nothing but public relations agency, strategic planning, key messaging, media relations, all of the above. The answer is all of the above. Public relations will do everything. That is called PR. What is the main objective of investor relations? Create understanding between the investors, financial community and the company. Create interest of the prospective. Create interest of the prospective investor in the company stocks. Build corporate image of the organization. All of these. So the investor relations will have all of these. The answer is option D. What refers to the act of offense of saying something false or malicious that damage somebody's reputation? Libel, slander, defamation, IPR violation. The answer is option B, slander. You might think that it is defamation, but the correct word to use to damage someone is slander. Next, what is essential trait of a PRO, which is public relation officer? Having high standard of integrity, should be learned, should gain the people's confidence easily, all of these. These are all nothing but the characteristics of PRO. So the answer is all of these. Next, what type of advertising focuses on basis of experience that customers have within the company? Corporate image, institutional, perception oriented and identity. So about the perception oriented is the type of advertising, nothing but reviews, surveys, all are perception oriented. Next, which strategy influences internal communication? Organization strategy, a strategy for its own, both of the above depends upon the media. Which strategy influences the internal communication? Organization strategy as well as a strategy of its own. Both of them will have the effect of internal communication. Next, which of these is true for corporate image of an organization? Image is static and does not evolve over years. No, corporate image do evolve over the years. Next, image should change every year. We can't tell that it should change every year. Image should change with the launch of every new product. No, we can't tell that after every new launch product, image will change. Image should be built over years and then maintained. Yes, option D is right. Next, mass communication is the process of a dash by spreading a message to a desired public. So for a desired public, we are sending up messages and communicating to them. It is called as mass pursuance. It is called as mass pursuance. Where is it? Okay, option A. Next, which type of advertising focuses on the basis of experience that customers have within the company? This is a repeated perception oriented. 13th one, option C, perception oriented. Next, for evaluating adequacy of project implementation, what factors management auditor should consider? Maintenance plans in place to achieve desired capacity utilization, specific consumption of raw materials, volume reconciliation for each type of inventory, incentive available from central or state government have been studied, tied up and applied for. So this is what the main management auditor should consider when he is going for project implementation. What is the subsidy grant which they have received for government and how they are going to utilize it? Option D. Next, for evaluating adequacy of production function, what factors management auditor should consider? Input-output ratio, any imbalances in the plant, Any constraints in achieving maximum available capacity? All of the above. The answer is all of the above. For evaluating adequacy of purchase function, what factors management auditors should consider? Imbalance in plant when purchasing. Imbalance in plant. Excess consumption in utilities like power, fuel, water, steam. Awareness of production. Purchase requisitions marked with rush, emergency or as soon as possible. When you're going for purchase, see for the option which is relevant to the purchase. So it is option number D. Next, for evaluating adequacy of inventory function. Percentage of marketing expense, safety measures in place, location of project, adequacy of review of A category raw material inventory. It is related to inventory, so option D. Next, for evaluating adequacy of finance function, what factors management auditors should consider? Production hold up due to delay in procurement, capacity utilization, breakdown of plant and machinery, plans to meet requirements for modernization, expansion, diversification, etc. So this is related to the finance function. Option D. For evaluating adequacy of R&D function, month-wise production, number of employees, inventory of employees, consideration of R&D function as a separate department in the company. Option D. Now next, for evaluating insurance function, advertisement for product, consumption of raw materials, job work, and timely renewals of policy. Insurance is nothing but a policy, so timely renewal of policy. Option D. Next, coming to case study. Company A being in top 1000 listed company, BRSR reporting is mandatory for it. Company has membrane cells costing 100 crores due for replacement as its effective lifespan of 4 to 5 years is over. So lifespan is completed. So they have to go for new membrane cells for BRSR reporting. It can prolong its replacement by 1 or 2 years, but it may endanger safety and security of employees involved with its operations. In view of what is stated above, Company A cannot prolong its replacement by 1 or 2 years. Due to financial concerns can be included? No. ESG concerns can be ignored? No. Financial concerns shall override ESG concerns. ESG concerns shall override the financial concerns. They should not focus on the financial concerns, but about the ESG, environmental, social, governance responsibilities, they have to focus on. So the answer is option 4. Now, this is a case study which was given, case study 2. They have given about the BRSR guidelines. So we have principles for that. So what are principles are there and how many points are there for each and every principle? For principle 1, there are 9 points and 2 points in leadership indicators. And in principle 2, there are 4 points and 5 points in leadership indicators and essential indicators. And in principle 3, there are 15 points in essential indicators and 6 points in leadership indicators. Ma'am, what are these for? Because MCQs have been asked for this. How many number are there? So you have to revise this and keep a note of it. Okay. Now, option first MCQ. Section A of BRSR reporting deals with the following. Section A deals with what? General disclosure. Section A deals with general disclosure. Next, how many essential indicators and leadership indicators does principle 7 of section C has? Principle 7 has how much? 2 points of essential indicator and 1 point of leadership indicator. Option C. Next, how many principles does section C of BRSR has? How many principles? 9 principles it has. Next, which principle of section C of BRSR reporting deals with environment? Which of this deals with environment? Principle 2 deals with the environment. Principle 6 also deals with the environment. So, principle 6. Okay. Which principle of section C of BRSR reporting deals with safety management system and safety impact? Safety management system and safety impact. Just a moment. C. Respect and promote the well-being of all employees, including those of in value chain, which means employees' welfare they are talking about. So it talks about the safety and security. So it is principle 3. Which principle of section C of BRSR reporting requires reporting or investment in research and development to improve the environmental and social impact? So which is talking about research and development. It is talking about principle 2. Business should provide goods and services in manner that are sustainable and safe. So to provide sustainable and safe goods and services, they have to go for research and development. Principle 2. Next, which section of BRSR reporting is dealing with CSR details? Which of this is dealing with CSR details? Governance, social, economic governance, CSR, corporate social responsibility governance, nothing but section A. CSR details, section A. Seventh one is option A. Section A is dealing about the general disclosures, and that only CSR details also will be there. Which section of BRSR reporting is dealing with corporate identity number of a listed company? This also section A only, in general disclosures only. Which section of BRSR reporting contains both mandatory reporting as well as voluntary reporting? So here it talks about what should be done and what could not be done. So section C. Ninth one is C. Section C talks about voluntary as well as mandatory reporting. Next, in which principle of section C? One of the essential indicator is a retirement benefit, which talks about the retirement benefit. So here see, business should respect and promote the well-being of employees, which means employees are talking about employees. If it is talking about employees, that principle is only about the retirement benefit. In which principle of section C? One of the essential indicator to be reported is sexual harassment. About sexual harassment, also it is given in the employee. Employees are only there, no? So for employees, it is principle number 3. Then, which principle of section C mandates total energy consumption to be reported as an essential indicator? So, which is talking about energy consumption. Energy consumption, which is talking about energy consumption. Business should respect and make effort to protect and restore the environment, which means it has to go for sustainable development. It is nothing but restoring the energy. So, it is principle number 6. So, this is how the MCQs are being tested. So, this is somewhat tricky, which is not there in our syllabus but given in recent workbook. So, see this once before going for the examination. Now we are going to start with our next unit 5 of Information System Security Audit in Section B Management Audit. Now, first, control in the design of information system is used to, for what purpose we are using control in the information system? Inspect the system and check that it is built as per specification, protect data from accidental or intentional loss, ensure that the system processes data as it was designed and that the results are reliable. So the option C is the correct option. For this purpose only we are designing the controls of information system. Next, controls are necessary for information system as massive amounts of data processed and human errors are expected in the data entry. Yes, because of this only we are having controls. Accidental errors can lead to loss of money and credibility in the system. Yes. To protect the system from virus attacks. No, not actually from virus attacks protection. We are having information system. Data may be lost due to disk crashes. So the answer is option A. 1 and 2 is the right answer. Next, the major objectives of controls are, for what purpose? What are the main objectives of controls? Guard against the fraud in data entry or processing. Yes. Check clerical handling of data before it enters in the computer. Yes. To provide a method to trace the steps and find where the error has occurred. Yes. Automatically correct errors. Nothing automatical correction can be done. So 1, 2 and 3 points are the answer. Option C. Next, fourth, a two-way check is used to, for what purpose we are going to use a two-way check? Check program correctness, find data entry errors, find multiplication errors and find an arithmetical error in the processing. So for what purpose we are using the two-way check? To check whether there is any data entry error and whether there is any multiplication error. Whether there is any data entry error and whether there is any arithmetical error. So for these two purposes only two-way check will be done. So second point and the fourth point, option C. Data entry error and arithmetical error. A checkpoint procedure. What is called as a checkpoint procedure? Checks programs correctness at a certain point. Because of that, it is called as a checkpoint. Or else, divides a program into smaller parts. Divides entire program into small parts and check it. breaks programs into portions at the end of each of which a checkpoint program is executed. So everything will be distributed into portions and that it will be evaluated. Option C is the right answer. Next, sixth, audit in the design of information system is used to inspect the system and check that it is built as per specification, protect data from accidents or intentional losses. No, we are not going to protect it because it is audit. We are not building the system controls. Ensure that the system process data is as it was designed and results are reliable. No. Ensure the privacy of data processed by. No, we are doing the audit here. Audit is nothing but inspection. Inspect the system and check that it is built as per specification. Next, by auditing around the computer, what does we mean by auditing around the computer? The inputs and the corresponding outputs are compared and checked for the correctness. The programs and procedures are checked for the correctness. No, we are not going to check for the programs and procedures. Only we'll check about the input and output. That's it. So it is option A. An audit trail is established in a system. For what purpose we are putting an audit trail? Detect errors in a system, enable auditing of a system, localize the source of error. For what reason the error has happened? To identify where the error is happening, we are going for audit trail. It is option C. Next, in auditing with the computer, what are we doing when we are going for auditing with the computer? Auditing programs are designed and used to check a system. So, in the computer itself, we will design the programs through which we will do the audit. So, auditing with the computer will be done with the computer by using audit programs. Next, by information system testing, we mean what? Testing an information system correctly, determining whether the system is performing as per specification, determining whether the system is performing optimally, ensuring proper function of system. The correct answer is option B, information system testing. We mean that determining whether the system is performing as per specification. Next, parallel runs are used during regular operation of information system when the system is initially implemented, whenever errors are found in a computerized system, and whenever management in system. No, when the system is implemented initially only we'll go for the parallel run. To protect the system from virus, one should not allow unauthorized use of floppy disks, scan virus and files received via network of floppers, isolate a system from network, entirely close the network. No, it cannot be done. Install a rollback recovery program in the system. If we get a backup system, how we'll able to protect it? No, for protecting it, what should be done? Not allowing any unauthorized access or scan viruses for the files. So 1 and 2 can be done. The answer is option B. Next, 13th. A firewall is used in a system connected to a wide area network. For what purpose we are having a firewall? To prevent the spread of fire in the network? No. To prevent unauthorized access by the hackers. This is what mean by firewall. To prevent unauthorized access by the hackers. Security in design of information system is used to inspect the system and check that it is built as per the specification, protect data and programs from accident or intentional loss, ensure that the system process data as it was designed and that the results are reliable. This is again security in the design of information system is used to protect data and programs from accidental or intentional losses. Answer is option B. Next, it is necessary to protect the information system from the following. From whom it is necessary to protect? Natural disasters. You can't do anything for the natural disasters, but yes, we will try to protect. Disgruntled employees, yes. Poorly trained employees, yes. Hackers, industrial species, data entry operators. We have to protect the system from all these things. So it is necessary for all. Answer is option D, all of the above. So this is regarding entire section B, management audit MCQs. So now we are going to start with section C, internal control, internal audit, operational audit and other related issues with unit 1, internal control and internal audit MCQs. So starting with first MCQ. Several checks and controls exercised in a business to ensure its efficient working is known as. We are going for several checks, it is known as internal check. Option A. Next. The work of one clerk is automatically checked by another clerk is also called as internal check. Option B. Next. Internal controls and internal checks are one and the same, different. Internal control includes internal check and none of the above. The answer is option C. Internal control includes internal check. And the fourth question, which of the following statements is not true about a continuous audit? Now, what does it mean by continuous audit? It is conducted at a regular intervals, yet it is continuous basis. It may be carried out on daily basis. Yes. It is needed when the organization has a good internal control system. No. When the organization is having a weak internal control system, they will opt for continuous audit. It is expensive. Yes. Because of every day or on the regular intervals, you have to go for audit. Yes, it is expensive. So, which is not true? Option C is not true. Then, fifth, in comparison to the independent auditor, an internal auditor is more likely to be concerned with cost accounting system, internal control system, legal compliance, and accounting system. So, what is the comparison between independent auditor and an internal auditor? So, internal auditor is more likely to be concerned about the internal control system because he knows everything about it. Next, verification. Now, what does it mean by verification? The art of recording the business transaction. It is not verification. The examination of books of accounts. The act of establishing the accuracy of entries in the books of accounts. Now, what does it mean by verification? It is the act of establishing the accuracy of entries in the books of accounts. Next, the main objective of investigation is to discover errors and frauds, to prevent errors and frauds, to verify the statements. The answer is all of the above. Next, the company's auditor is expected to give what he has to give. He has to give his expert opinion about the accounts, a factual position about the accounts, a critical review, and his financial assistance. He has to give his expert opinion about the accounts. Give an opinion there too. Which of the following is not likely to be a fraud risk factor relating to the management characteristics? Which of this is not a fraud? Tax evasion, it is a fraud. Failure to correct known weakness in internal control system, willfully they are doing it. Adoption of conservative accounting principle. You are adopting your own principle to make better management thing or to reduce fraud. You are trying to implement more accounting principles. That is not fraud. Option C. Next, the primary purpose of establishing quality control policies and procedures for deciding on client evaluation to ensure adherence to general accepted auditing standards, acceptance or retention of clients whose management does not lack integrity. So, for this, the answer is option B. So, this is the MCQs for Unit 1, Internal Control and Internal Check. Next, moving on to Unit 2, Operational Audit and Internal Audit under Companies Act 2013. Financial Audit submits a report to shareholders, board of directors, debtors, employees. Who financial auditor submit a report? He submits to shareholders. Next, auditor finds that there is a change in the method of valuation of stock. Whether he should allow it, disallow it, allow it with a note to this effect, and none of the above. He should allow it with a note to this effect. The answer is option C. Next, audit under any statute in a country is called final audit, internal audit, proprietary audit, statutory audit. It is called as a statutory audit because it is under the statute. Now, CAATTS is also known as Computer Assisted Audit Tools and Techniques. Next, auditor has got no lien on audit notebook, audit working papers, books to accounts of the client. He has nothing lien on, which means he has no right on books of accounts of client. Next, internal audit is conducted periodically throughout the year, once in a year, once in 5 years. When internal audit will be conducted? Throughout the year, the internal audit will be conducted. So, the answer is option B. Next, test checking is done when there is an effective system of internal control, internal audit, internal check, both A and B. The answer is internal check. Test checking is done when there is an effective system of internal check. Next, testing revenue expenditure as capital expenditure is an example of error. Treating revenue expenditure as a capital expenditure is an example of which error? Principal error, compensating error, clerical error. We are changing the entire principle of revenue to capital. So, it is called as a principal error. Next, verification of assets involves a critical examination of ownership, existence, all of this, none of the above. It includes both ownership as well as the existence. So, answer is option number C. Next, one of the major components of government audit, government revenue, union budget and control, Government expenditure, taxation and fiscal policies. For what purpose we are doing government audit? To check about the government expenditure. The answer is option C. Next. There is no requirement for audit working papers while conducting an audit and they only result in loss of time. Is this right or is this wrong? 11th one. No, it is not because of loss of time. It will not increase the time but it will reduce the time of the auditor. But there is no requirement for audit working papers while conducting an audit. They only result in loss of time. So is this true or is this false? The answer is incorrect. Next. Aspects may be taken into consideration for proper inventory control. Maximum, minimum reorder level fixation, fixed order quantity system and different replenishment systems. Fast moving, slow moving, non-moving analysis, all of the above. All these are nothing but proper inventory controls. The answer is all of the above. Next, qualities of good internal auditor. He should have good attitude, right attitude, technical expertise, communication and other soft skills. The answer is all of the above. He should have all this. Next, NGOs are incorporated under Societies Regulation Act, Indian Trust Act, Section 8, all of the above. The answer is all of the above. Next, who can be appointed as internal auditor as per the Companies Act 2013? Chartered accountant, cost accountant, such other professional, all of the above. Any person can be appointed as an internal auditor. Only for producer companies, CA can be appointed. For other companies, all can be appointed, which means CA, CMA or any other professional. Next, the management auditor shall consider in the evaluation of capacity utilization, method of measuring base machine capacity. Capacity measurement is based on capital output ratio, technical terminology like licensed capacity, installed capacity, rated capacity, all of the above. He has to consider all these points when he is going for capacity determination. Next, 17. During financial year 22-23, a private company has outstanding loans or borrowings from banks or financial institutions as mentioned below. 75 crores, 105 crores, 90 crores, 60 crores. On fulfillment of which of the above mentioned condition, internal audit under section 138 becomes applicable to this private company. So how much borrowings from banks or financial institutions should be there? It should be more than 100 crores. So here 105 crores is given. So it is the answer. So yes, borrowings, loans and borrowings should be more than 100 crores. Next, for which category of company only CA can be appointed? I have told you, producer companies. Internal auditor is prescribed by whom? RBI, Ministry of Finance, SEBI, Companies Act 2013. We have under Companies Act 2013 only. For applicability of internal audit under section 138, at any point of time is applicable to which of the following criteria? For paid up share capital, turnover, outstanding loans and borrowings. For outstanding loans and borrowings, it is given as the applicable at any point of time is applicable in which of the following criteria? Yes, for outstanding loans and borrowings, it is given as at any point of time in the preceding financial year. So these are the MCQs for Unit 2 of Internal Control and Internal Audit Section C. Now we are going to start with Unit 3 of Section C, which is Audit of Different Service Organizations. First MCQ, management audit dash on financial matters involves only concentrate on financial matters, does not concentrate on financial matters. Management audit will not concentrate on financial matters. Next, the main objective of management audit is to suggest improvement in methods of operations, framing basic policies for the organization, setting up an organization framework, none of these. So what is the main objective of management audit? To suggest improvement in the methods of operation, option A. Next, management audit is the unique process of dash the performance of directors, managers and performance of the management. What it is trying to do? Appraise, audit, calculate, plan. It is trying to improve the performance, which is nothing but the appraising the performance. Next, the main emphasis of management audit is problem solving, problem identification, problem definition, problem avoidance. This is a repeated MCQ. This is nothing but a problem identification. Next, management audit is normally presumed to be a dash into a performance of management. It is a routine investigation, non-routine investigation, auditing, none of these. So it is nothing but a non-routine investigation. Management audit is called as a non-routine investigation. Next, CNAG has a right to direct how the company's accounts shall be audited by the auditor and to give such auditor instructions regarding any matter relating to the performance of his function as per which section 44 AB, 143, 173, 134 of Companies Act 2013. So sixth is according to 143 of Companies Act 2013, Controller and Auditor General can give instructions about how the audit should be conducted. Next, non-government organization can be incorporated as per Section 25 of Companies Act Section 25 of Companies Act 1956, Section 8 of Companies Act and Section 28. We know NGO is nothing but a Section 8 company, so it is Section 8 company. Now, under proprietary audit, the auditor tried to bring out what type of expenditure, improper, avoidable, infractious, all of the above. The answer is all of the above. Any kind of expenditure which is avoidable, which is unnecessary, all will be coming out. Next, what is the first step to be conducting a hospital audit? Check the letter of appointment, study the trust deed. First of the main thing is check the letter of appointment, study trust deed, examine records, physical verification. So the first you have to check the letter of appointment. Next, cooperative auditor has to examine the overdue debts, if any, and evaluation of the assets and liabilities of the society while conducting an internal audit as per what is the section of cooperative auditor, which means cooperative service audit if he is doing, what is the section? It is 17 subsection 2. Next, that states about the audit of accounts of municipalities. Section article 243Z talks about the municipalities, 243Z of the constitution. Now, who appoints the auditor for the government company? C&AG, Controller and Auditor General of India, appoints the auditor for a government company. Next, the government also engages in commercial activities for this purpose. It may incorporate dash types of entities. How many types of entities can be done? 3 types of entities. So when we are discussing a concept called as government commercial accounts of government. So in that particular thing, we have seen 3 types of entities which can be established by a government. Financial administration of local bodies includes budgetary procedure, expenditure control, accounting system, all of the above. The answer is all of the above. Next, field balance sheet approach to audit can be applied. In which case, for what thing we are doing a field balance sheet approach? Nothing but for self-help groups we follow field balance sheet approach. Next, concept of kitchen order token relates to which? Nothing but hotels. It is talking about kitchens. Next, what maximum percentage of shares any member can hold in a cooperative society? They can only hold a maximum up to 20% of shares. According to section 6 of Cooperative Societies Act 1912, how many persons can form a society? Minimum 5, minimum 7, minimum 10, minimum 14 persons. It is minimum 10 persons can form a cooperative society. Next, foreign contribution receipts are to be deposited in savings account, current account, foreign contribution bank account. Next, field balance sheet is prepared by this is self-help group to ascertain cash in hand, cash at bank, fixed deposit, retained earnings. To know what is the retained earnings, they'll go for the field balance sheet approach. So these are the MCQs for section C: internal control, internal audit, operational audit, and other related issues. Now we are going to start with our next section, section D, which is forensic audit and anti-money laundering, in which first unit is forensic audit. So first MCQ, forensic accounting is defined as, now what is forensic accounting? The practice of applying defined financial ratios to investigate companies' financial health? No. The use of law enforcement to subpoena financial records to determine unlawful actions? No. The application of investigative and analytical skills to resolve financial issues in a manner that meets standards required by the court of law. So the option C is the correct answer. Next, if your actions are results of misleading, intentional and inaction, including misleading statements and the omission of relevant information to gain an undue advantage, you have committed what? Perjury, contempt, treason, fraud. You have committed a fraud. Next, when the auditor tests the documents by keeping them side by side, it is called as juxtaposition test. Okay, remember that it is called as juxtaposition test. As per study of ACFE, Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, the following category of individuals commit the highest level of fraud is who actually the senior level management commit the higher level of frauds according to ACFE report. Dash are elements of fraud. The individual must know that the statement is untrue. There is an intent to deceive the victim. The victim relied on the statement and the victim is injured financially or otherwise. All of the above. So all of these are nothing but the elements of fraud. Next, a type of fraud where forged email, forged website are used to defraud the user. It is known as phishing. It is known as phishing. Next, dash happens when the fraudster avails multiple loans for the same property simultaneously for a total amount over the actual value of a property. It is called as shotgunning. It is called as shotgunning. Next, pressure, opportunity, and the third element is called as rationalization in the fraud triangle. Next, a dash is termed as an indication of danger or a warning signal. It is called as a red flag. Next, a dash is a flag that denotes too good to be true scenario, which is nothing but a green flag. Next, significant increase in working capital borrowing as a percentage of turnover is nothing but a red flag of management. A case where the employee doesn't take travel advance but always pay from his own pockets. He is nothing but a green flag. Analyzing non-verbal cues is important for a forensic auditor. While interviewing a suspect, interrogating a suspect, A and B both, he has to be aware of non-verbal cues at both the cases. Now, 14th, a model categorizing known frauds, which lists about 49 different individual fraud schemes grouped by categories and subcategories is known as fraud triangle only 3, fraud square 4, fraud model only few, fraud tree. Different multiple subcategories and categories are there. When the fraudster can give a personal justification for fraudulent activity, it is known as nothing but rationalization. Various frauds in the banking sector are appraisal fraud, mortgage fraud, shotgunning, all of the above. The answer is all of the above. Next, fraudsters may alter checks to change the name or the amount on the face of check. If you're changing something, it is called as forgery. So the answer is forgery. Next, ratio analysis is one of the key aspects that the forensic auditor has to look for. The answer is not right. They will not focus on the ratio analysis. What's the reason? They'll only go for the investigation and detection purpose. Now, 19. The principle of 3D vision includes space dimension analysis, time dimension analysis, space dimension analysis, both A and B. The answer is both A and B. The principle of 3D vision focuses on both time as well as the space. The answer is both A and B. Next, fraud is a deliberate act of omission or commission by any person carried out in the course of banking transaction or books of accounts maintained manually or on the computer system in banks resulted into wrongful gain to any person for a temporary period or otherwise with or without any monetary loss to the bank. This is the definition for what? Fraud, which is given by whom? SEBI, RBI, ICAI, ACFE. Who has given this definition? This definition is given by RBI. Next, concept of red flag pertains to which audit? Productivity audit, energy audit, inventory audit, forensic audit. We have learned it in the concept of forensic audit, so that's the answer. Next, which audit has its basic objectives to uncover the fraud? Forensic audit. Next, pressure, motivation and opportunity are part of what? Red flags, fraud triangle. Which section of Companies Act 2013 provides definition of a term fraud? Section 445, 446, 447, 448. Section 447 talks about the definition of fraud. Next, which section of Companies Act 2013 casts an obligation upon the auditor of the company to report fraud? Section 143 subsection 12. Section 143 subsection 12 is the reporting of fraud by the auditor. So these are the MCQs from forensic audit. Now we are going to start with the MCQs of Unit 2 Anti-Money Laundering from Section D. Now, first, Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002 is given under which act number? Act number 15 of 2003, Act number 22 of 2003, Act number 11 of 2003 or Act number 3 of 2003. It is given under Act number 15 of 2003. Next, Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002 came into force on 1st January 2002, 1st July 2005, 1st June 2004 or 1st of November 2002. It has been come in 1st July 2005. Next, financial institution as defined under Section 2 subsection I of Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002 does not include a chit fund company, housing financial institution, a payment system operator, a non-banking financial company, Department of Post in the Government of India. It does not include any of this. So it is none of the above is included under the financial institution definition which is given by the PMLA. Payment system as defined under PMLA 2002 does include systems enabling credit card, debit card operations, smart card operations and money transfer operations. All these are called as payment systems. So all of the above. Next, person as defined under PMLA includes HUF, artificial jurisdictional person, an association of person, body of individuals, whether incorporated or not. All of the above. Next, precious metal as defined by PMLA Act does not include precious metal, does not include gold, palladium or rhodium, diamond, platinum. It does not include diamond. Precious stone as defined under PMLA Act does not include diamond, graphite, emerald, sapphire. It does not include graphite. Next, offense of money laundering is defined in which section of PMLA Act 2002? Section 3. Punishment of money laundering is given under section 4. Next, which of the following is not prescribed in the provision of PMLA Act? Seizure, it is prescribed. Attachment of property, given. Confiscation, it doesn't have anything called as confiscation. Life imprisonment, it is given. Now, whoever commits the offense of money laundering shall be punishable with rigorous imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 3 years but which may extend to 7 years. Why 7 years? Here nothing has specified about drugs and narcotisms. Now, whosoever commits the offense of money laundering which relates to any offense specified under paragraph 2 of part A of schedule which talks about drugs and psychometric substances shall be punishable with rigorous imprisonment of a term which shall not be less than 3 years but which shall be maximum to 10 years. Next, as per section 5 of PMLA Act, the property can be provisionally attached for a period of not exceeding 180 days. The provisional attachment can be given up for 180 days. Director of any other officer who provisionally attaches any property under PMLA Act 2002 shall within a period of days from such attachment file a complaint stating the facts of such attachment before the adjudicating authority. After attachment, the officer has to file a notice giving all the information to the adjudicating authority. That should be done within 30 days. Answer is option A. Next, which among the following authority appointed by the central government shall exercise jurisdictional powers and authority conferred by or under the PMLA Act? Administrative authority, adjudicating authority, appellate authority, adjudicating commission, adjudicating authority. Now, by whom Financial Action Task Force were mandated? G4, G5, G6, G7. By G7. In which year Financial Action Task Force was mandated? 1985, 1986, 1987, 1989. The answer is 1989. Next, till today, Financial Action Task Force has come out with how many recommendations? They have given us 40 recommendations so far. Next, which recommendation of Financial Action Task Force pertains to customer due diligence? 10th recommendation talks about customer due diligence. Next, recommendation 20 of Financial Action Task Force states that financial institutions should report suspicious transactions to whom? To RBI, Ministry of Finance, SEBI, Financial Intelligence Unit of India. The answer is Financial Intelligence Unit of India. So, these are the MCQs which we have covered. We have completed all the MCQs which are very much relevant for the upcoming examination of June 2025. We have covered the entire section A, cost audit, section B, management audit, section C, internal control, internal audit, and section D, forensic audit and anti-money laundering. So, are these MCQs enough? These MCQs are more than enough for the examination. The PDF will be shared in the Telegram channel of Cost and Management Audit. So join the Telegram channel. The link will be given in the below description box. All the very best for your examination. Thank you.